Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you the top 5 books that I would like to read over the spring season. So I got over like the initial wave of like the new releases coming out in the new year and just trying to get all those read because I feel like most of my anticipated releases came out in February. So a lot of like the newer books that I got over kind of Christmas and all that I haven't had a chance to read yet. So these are ones that I am most excited about reading that I hope to get to during these next 3 months. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So these are technically 3 books that I'm just combining into like one book because I do want to marathon this series throughout 2021, and it is the Inspector Gamache series by Louise. So I've been making my way through this series, and I did do a lot of marathoning towards the end of 2020 with this series, but I definitely haven't picked any of them up since then. So I definitely want to kind of focus more on the series and prioritize reading at least one book in this series per month so I can be caught up with the series by the end of the year. And so like the next ones that I have to read over kind of these 3 months would be A Trick of the Light, The Beautiful Mystery, and How the Light Gets In. And this is a Canadian-based murder mystery taking place in kind of a small quaint town called Three Pines in Quebec, and it follows Inspector Gamache, who is the chief homicide detective for Quebec, and a lot of his murders are somehow intertwined with a small quaint town called Three Pines, and it kind of goes off from there. And what I really love about this is that not only does it take place in Canada, so it reminds me of my home country, but I think Inspector Gamache is a very interesting character. He compared to like a lot of these stereotypical like crime detectives, he is very empathetic. He's very in tune with his emotions. He's quiet. He's not over masculine. And so I think that makes it really unique. And it kind of reminds me of Gilmore Girls in that sense of found family and just that small quaint town where everyone knows each other. Like, I really love that. So I definitely will be reading these throughout the season as well. This is one that I'm really excited about. So on Chapters Indigo's like website, they have Heather's picks, and I really enjoyed a lot of her like picks. A lot of the books on there are ones that I've read and enjoyed. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try out more of her like picks. And Chapters, like Indigo, is a Canadian bookstore. It's like a Barnes and Nobles essentially, and the one that I'm very intrigued about is the Paragon Hotel by Lyndsay Faye, and this is like a Depression era kind of novel, and so it centers around this girl who ends up kind of fleeing, who kind of battles the New York Mafia, and she ends up fleeing all the way to Oregon, where this black man saves her and brings her to this hotel that is the Paragon Hotel, which is a kind of blacks only hotel during kind of Jim Crow era Depression kind of times. And so this kind of integrates a lot of like the Ku Klux Klan and other things going on in here as well that were relevant of the racial injustice and suppression of this era. And I think it kind of goes off from there. And so there's like this missing child and all this other going on, but I think this one will be really interesting. I think this is a very interesting time period to look at in American history, particularly not only with Prohibition and the Depression era, but also the integration of racial suppression and like all these other things that are going on. Like, there's a lot of mixtures of different factors going on in this kind of time period, so I think it'll be very interesting. Again, like I said, I've really liked her pick, so I'm hoping this one I will enjoy as well. So I've been slowly getting back into my historical fiction craze that I've kind of had most of my life, but I kind of fell out of it after I started BookTube because I was just reading more fantasy because that was popular at the time, but now I'm just reading whatever the heck I want now. And so this one is one that I'm really excited for, and it is the Dragonfly by Leila McMahon. And essentially this follows a group of people who are recruited by the OSS to kind of train to become spies during World War II. So we follow these two completely different people. I think we follow like a Texan athlete, a Midwestern fisherman, an orphan fashion designer, a female fencer, like, so all these people with different backgrounds, and just seeing them getting recruited by the OSS to kind of train to become spies, and not only seeing the kind of mixing of these different personalities, but also how it is kind of, you know, how they kind of respond to being a spy at different kind of parts throughout the war, I think will be just really interesting. And I'm like a sucker for this cover. Like, this is like, I saw it at the bookstore and I was just like, oh my goodness. I know the cover isn't everything, but I feel like the cover does play a part in how we purchase or like look at books. So I hope this one will be very interesting, and like I said, I'm really excited for it. And whenever I think of the OSS, I just think of Spy Kids, so that's what I will be thinking of during this book. So this is one that I feel like is very springy for me, and just from like the cover and the sense that I feel like it'll just be a good one to read when it's finally getting to like summertime. For where we live, it literally goes from like winter to like summer, and you get like 1 week of spring. So during that 1 week of spring, I'm gonna have to optimize, like to find the time to read this one, because I feel like it will be perfect for it. And it is Midnight at the Blackbird Cafe by Heather Weber. And this is one that, again, I was intrigued by the cover, and that kind of made me kind of read the synopsis. But essentially this follows this girl who goes back to her grandmother's small town after her grandmother's passed away, and she kind of tries to kind of put her every like affair in order surrounding her grandmother's Blackbird Cafe. And this Blackbird Cafe is like known for its kind of I think like this blackbird pie essentially. And so so it's supposed to be a quick trip to close the cafe and settle her grandmother's estate, but despite her best intentions to avoid forming ties or even to get to know her father's side of the family, Anna Kate finds herself inexplicably drawn to the quirky southern town her mother ran away from so many years ago, and the mysterious blackbird pie everyone can't stop talking about. So I think this one kind of has some magical realism aspects in here as well, and I think it'll just be a lot of fun to read. So I haven't read magical realism in quite a long time. I used to be like, I want to say back in like 2014, 2015, I was on a big Sarah Addison Allen kick, and she does like a lot of magical realism in her novels. So I feel like this one, and those ones were like fun to read kind of spring, summertime. So I think this one will be a good segue into the warmer months. And lastly, this is one that the history nerd in me is very excited about, and it is The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Stephen Brusatte. I think that's how you say his name. And essentially this one I'm so excited about because when I was little, I wanted to be a paleontologist. Like, my parents would take us to the ROM, like the Royal Ontario Museum. We'd go see the dinosaurs. 1 week we'd go to the zoo, the next week, like that was what we did every weekend. So I love the dinosaurs, Land Before Time. I was like an encyclopedia for all things dinosaurs. But then I realized that I don't really like digging in the dirt, and I burn very easily in the sun. So I realized, and I don't like manual labor, so I realized that wasn't a good profession for me. But nevertheless, I'm still always intrigued by kind of this era and these kind of animals. So I think this one will kind of go into kind of their history, their kind of the different species, and ultimately what led to their extinction. I think will be interesting. Oh, and it even has pictures of like people doing excavations. Oh, like 7-year-old Lexie is going to be thriving reading this. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. I've heard great things about it, and I feel like the dinosaur nerd in me will just be loving it. That's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of the books you would like to read this season are, and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.